Good evening, guys. So I'm going to give you some readings on what Jesus looked like, some outside descriptions, outside the Bible descriptions, on what Jesus could have possibly looked like. This description is from Publius Lentulus, and he writes, now this guy, he presided over Judea, and he wrote to the following epistle of the Nazarene called Jesus. There appeared in these our days a man from the Jewish nation with great virtue called Yeshua, who is yet living among us, and of the Gentiles is accepted for a prophet of truth. But his own disciples call him the Son of God. He raised the dead and cureth all manner of diseases. A man of stature, somewhat tall and comely, with very irreverent countenance, such as the beholders may both love and fear. His hair the colour of chestnut, full, ripe, plain to his ears, whence downwards it is more orient and curling and waving about his shoulders. In the midst of his head is a seam of partition in his hair, after the manner of the Nazarenes. His forehead is plain and very delicate. His face is without spot or wrinkle, beautified with a lovely red. His nose and mouth formed as nothing can be reprehended. His beard thickish in colour, his hair not very long but forked. His look innocent and mature, his eyes grey, clear, and quick in reproving hypocrisy. He is terrible in admonishing, courteous and fair spoken, pleasant in conversation, mixed with gravity. It cannot be remembered that any have seen him laugh, but many have seen him weep. In proportion of body most excellent, his hands and arms delicate to behold, in speaking very temperate, modest and wise, a man for his singular beauty surpassing the children of men. This letter is from Pontius Pilate to Tiberius Caesar. A young man in Galilee preaching with humble eunuch a new law in the new name of God that has sent him. At first I was apprehensive that his designs was to stir up the people against the Romans, but my fears were soon dispelled. Jesus of Nazareth spoke rather as a friend of the Romans than of the Jews. One day I observed in the midst of a group of people a young man who was leaning against a tree, calmly addressing the multitude. I was told it was Jesus. This I could easily have suspected so. Great was the difference between him and those who were listening to him. His golden-coloured hair and his beard gave to his appearance of celestial aspect. He appeared to be 30 years of age. Never have I seen such a sweet and more serene countenance, with a contrast between him and his bearers with their black beards and tawny complexions. Unwilling to interrupt him by my presence, I continued my walk, but signified to my secretary, join the group and listen. Later, my secretary reported that never had he seen the works of all the philosophers, anything that compared to the teachings of Jesus. He told me that Jesus was neither seditious or rebellious, so we extended to him our protection. He was at liberty to act, to speak, to assemble, and to address the people. This unlimited freedom provoked the Jews, not the poor, but the rich and powerful. Later, I wrote to Jesus requesting an interview with him at the Franatorium. He came, and when the Nazarene made his appearance, I was having my morning walk, and I faced him. My feet seemed fastened with an iron hand to the marble pavement, and I trembled in every limb as a guilty culprit. Though he was calm, for some time I stood admiring this extraordinary man. There was nothing in him that was repelling, nor in his character, yet I felt awed in his presence. I told him that there was a magnetic simplicity about him, and his personality that elevated him far above the philosophers and the teachers of his day. Now, noble sovereign, these are the facts concerning Jesus of Nazareth. I have taken time to write you in detail concerning these matters. I say that such a man who could convert water into wine, change death into life, death into life, disease, and calm the stormy seas, is not guilty of any criminal offence. I have said we must agree. Truly, this is the Son of God, your most obedient servant, Pontius Pilate. I'm so sorry for laughing. My dog is jumping all over the place. I do apologise. This is off the cuff. The Emerald of Caesar. The likeness of Jesus was copied from a portrait carved on the emerald by the order of Tiberius Caesar, which emerald of the Emperor of the Turks afterwards gave out to the treasury of Constantinople, the Pope innocent for the redemption of his brother. And this is the picture. The Archeo volume. Another description is found in the Archeo volume, which contains official court documents from the days of Jesus. This information substantiates that he came from racial lines which had blue eyes and golden hair. In a chapter entitled Gamaliel's Interview, it states concerning Yeshua's appearance, quote, I asked him to describe this person to me so that I might know him if I should meet him. He said, if you ever meet him, Yeshua, you will know him. While he is nothing but a man, there is something about him that distinguishes him from every other man. He is the picture of his mother, only he has not a smooth round face. His hair is a little more golden than hers, though it is as much from the sunburn as anything else. He is tall, and his shoulders are a little drooped. His visage is thin and of a swarthy complexion. Though this is from exposure, his eyes are large and a soft blue and rather dull and heavy. This Jew, Nazarite, is convinced that he is the Messiah of the world. This was the same person that was born of the Virgin in Bethlehem some 26 years before. Josephus, the Antiquities of the Jews. This is a quote from Josephus from the historical first-century writings entitled Antiquities of the Jews, Book 18, Chapter 2, Section 3. Now there was this about Jesus, a wise man, If it be lawful to call him a wise man, for he was a doer of wonderful works, a teacher of such men as received the truth with pleasure, he drew over to him both many of the Jews and many of the Gentiles. He was the Christ, and when Pilate at the suggestion of the principal men amongst us had condemned him to the cross, those that loved him at the first did not forsake him, for he appeared to them alive again on the third day. And the divine prophets had foretold these and 10,000 other wonderful things concerning him. And the tribe of the Christians, so named from him, are not extinct at this day. Cornelius Tacitus, a Roman historian. Cornelius Tacitus was a Roman historian who lived circa 56 to 120 AD. He is believed to have been born in France or Gaul into a provincial aristocratic family. He became a senior, a consul, and eventually governor of Asia. Tacitus wrote at least 4 historic treatises around 115 AD. He published the Annals, in which he explicitly states that Nero persecuted the Christians in order to draw attention away from himself and from the Rome fire of 64 AD. In that context, he mentions Christus, who was put to death by Pontius Pilate. Nero fastened the guilt and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations called Christians by the populace. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our propagators. Pontius Pilate and the most mischievous superstition, thus checked for the moment, again broke out not only in Judea, the first source of the evil, but even in Rome. There's a lot more to read on this. I've not got my right glasses on tonight, so I'm going to leave a link down. I'm going to leave a link for you down below, so you can read this for yourselves. There's a lot of information here. I'm sure you'll find it interesting. Thank you.